Happy Monday, second graders. Hi, today we are going to do an ELA lesson. We're going to read a book and do a writing lesson with it for tomorrow. So today you're going to listen to my story. You can pause and reread. It's a great book. And then tomorrow you'll need a piece of paper. We're going to do a writing lesson. Here we go. This book actually was given to me by Mrs. Marson. If you have Mrs. Marson, maybe she already read it to you because it is one of her favorite books. It's called Dear Mr. Blueberry by Simon James. So what do we see here on the cover? What do you think this is? Look at the way that this is cut out around the picture. What do you think that might be? If you said that was a stamp, you're right. If you're going to mail a letter to somebody, this is what a stamp would look like. You would stick the stamp in the corner, and then when it goes to the post office will stamp their stamp on the letter so that it can get to where it needs to go. So you pay for the stamp, and then the postman will stamp that and deliver it where it needs to go. So I'm seeing that this is Dear Mr. Blueberry, and I'm seeing a stamp. What kind of book do you think this might be? I'm thinking it's going to be a book that has letters in it, or someone writing a letter, because this says Dear Mr. Blueberry and I see a stamp. Let's see if we're right. Here's the words. I'll show you the picture while I read. Dear Mr. Blueberry, I love whales very much, and I think I saw one in my pond today. Please send me some information on whales, as I think he might be hurt. Love, Emily. So here's the story. It is written like a letter. Dear Mr. Blueberry, love, Emily. And that was her picture that she may have drawn to send with her letter. Okay, so Emily, the little girl right here, is writing the letter to Mr. Blueberry. We don't know who that is yet. Let's turn the page. Dear Emily, here are some details about whales. I don't think you'll find it was a whale you saw, because whales don't live in ponds, but in salt water. Yours sincerely, your teacher, Mr. Blueberry. So we've learned now that Emily is writing a letter to who? Her teacher, Mr. Blueberry. So he says to her, I don't think it was a whale. Whales don't really live in backyards. They live in salt water. Do you know what kind of water is salt water? Do you know which body of water? That would be an ocean, most likely an ocean where a whale would live. Okay. So she writes him back. What is she doing? Can you take a guess what she's doing? Dear Mr. Blueberry, I am now putting salt into the pond every day before breakfast, and last night I saw my whale smile. I think he is feeling better. Do you think he might be lost? Love, Emily. So we just read that she's putting salt back there. Why is she putting salt back there? You're right, because Mr. Blueberry said that whales live in salt water. Dear Emily, please don't put any more salt in the pond. I'm sure your parents won't be pleased. I'm afraid there can't be a whale in your pond because whales don't get lost. They always know where they are in the oceans. Yours sincerely, Mr. Blueberry. Do you see the hole in the door? The mail's coming in. So she picked up the letter out of her mailbox and she's reading it. She doesn't look very happy because Mr. Blueberry is basically telling her what? Don't put any salt in the pond, and he's still saying, there can't be a whale in your pond, Emily. So she's disappointed. And she probably feels like he doesn't believe her. Which probably isn't a good feeling, right? Well, looks like a whale to me. Dear Mr. Blueberry, tonight I am very happy because I saw my whale jump up and spurt lots of water. He looked blue. Does this mean he might be a blue whale? Love, Emily. P.S. What can I feed him with? So she's still convinced that there is a blue whale in her backyard. What do you think Mr. Blueberry is going to write back to that? She also asked a question. Do you see the question mark? She asked a question. She said, what can I feed him with? Maybe Mr. Blueberry will answer. Dear Emily, blue whales are blue and they eat tiny shrimp-like creatures that live in the sea. However, I must tell you that a blue whale is much too big to live in your pond. Yours sincerely, Mr. Blueberry. P.S. Perhaps it is just a blue goldfish. Let's see what she's doing. Now she's reading about, looks like different kinds of fish. She's reading about it. She still looks a little confused though, because Mr. Blueberry is keeping his stance. He's saying, nope, I'm telling you, it's too big, can't live back there. But they do eat shrimp-like creatures that live in the sea. I wonder what she's been feeding it this whole time. Let's see. Oh, well, there's her whale. Dear Mr. Blueberry, last night I read your letter to my whale. Afterward, he let me stroke his head. It was very exciting. I secretly took him some crunched up cornflakes and breadcrumbs. This morning I looked in the pond and they were all gone. I think I shall call him Arthur. What do you think? Love, Emily. So we just found out what I was wondering. I was wondering what she fed him. What did she feed him? Some crunched up cornflakes and breadcrumbs. Well, she's naming him Arthur. She pat him on the head. She's pretty convinced that she has a whale in her yard. Dear Emily, I must point out to you quite forcibly now that in no way could a whale live in your pond. You may not know that whales are migratory, which means they travel great distances each day. I am sorry to disappoint you. Yours sincerely, Mr. Blueberry. So she's reading this letter and she does feel disappointed. What does that mean? I'm sorry to disappoint you. What does that mean? That means that she was very excited to know that it was a whale and he's telling her it's not. So she was let down. She was disappointed. She does look disappointed, see? She looks like she was let down. We learned another word here I want to look at. Migratory. You may know that whales are migratory, which means they travel great distances each day. I didn't know that. We've heard about birds that migrate, that travel great distances when they have to leave for the winter. But now I'm learning that whales are migratory. They travel great distances each day. So is her whale traveling great distances in her little backyard pond? Dear Mr. Blueberry, tonight I'm a little sad. Arthur has gone. I think your letter made sense to him, and he has decided to be migratory again. Love, Emily. Oh, he's gone in the little pond, and she's writing a letter to her teacher. Dear Emily, please don't be too sad. It really was impossible for a whale to live in your pond. Perhaps when you are older, you would like to sail the oceans, studying and protecting whales. Yours sincerely, Mr. Blueberry. There she is reading her letter from her teacher in her bedroom. She still looks disappointed. But he gave her some hope. He said, you know what? When you grow up, you can sail the oceans and you can go study about how you can protect the whales. Look at her whale poster. Maybe she does love whales. Dear Mr. Blueberry, it's been the happiest day. I went to the beach, and you'll never guess, but I saw Arthur. I called to him, and he smiled. I knew it was Arthur because he let me stroke his head. I gave him some of my sandwich. Oh, now she's at the beach, and she's thinking that she's seeing Arthur again. But she's pretty happy, though, right? She's happy when she sees Arthur. Turn the page. Hang on. Sorry, the pages were stuck together. And then we said goodbye. I shouted that I loved him very much, and I hope you don't mind. I said you loved him too. Love, Emily and Arthur. Well, there he goes off into the sunset as she says goodbye. Cute. The end. I like that. That's cute. So here we go. This is our writing lesson for tomorrow. We're going to talk about how to write a friendly letter. And here's our whale because this goes with this book. If you were at school, we would be doing this paper with this book. So I just want to look at one more thing for today as we talked about our book with a letter between Emily and her teacher, Dear Mr. Blueberry. So let's just look at the way a letter is written. Starts with the word dear, capital D, D-E-A-R, Mr. Mr. is capitalized because it's somebody's name. You're addressing somebody. Mr. Blueberry, Blueberry is capital. After you write dear, the person's name, there's a comma. The comma goes after it. And then when you start writing your sentences, you scooch the first sentence over, and that's called indenting. You see how it's pushed over a little bit? It's indented. This is a paragraph that she wrote, and it's indented. That's how we write a letter. And we write all of our sentences with capitals. We end all of our sentences with punctuation. And at the end, she signed it. Love, Emily. So when you're writing a letter between two people, the person who's getting the letter, their name goes up here. The person who's writing the letter, their name goes down here. So we're going to talk about that tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going to show you how to write a letter, and then you can write a letter to me if you want, or to Mr. Blueberry, or to Emily, or to your teacher. See you tomorrow.